What's up, all you cool cats and kittens? That's right, Coach FreeLove's back. We're here for parkour. You guys, thank you very much for joining us. You're here on our Firestorm Freerunning Acrobatics YouTube channel, watching another installment of Firestorm at Home. Unfortunately, due to the current worldly conditions, our facilities are still closed. But just because our gyms are closed doesn't mean you can't still get class. That's right. That's right. Class in your home. We're going to make sure that we have plenty of space. I've cleared out all of my furniture here. I've got all the room that I will have needed for what I'm doing. The only thing I'm going to need to be mindful for is my fun little kid cats and all the craziness that they may cause. So we're just going to carefully mind that space and get ready for today's parkour number 27. Woo! There's a lot of episodes pushing up there. Getting into 30 in a couple of days here. It's going to be crazy. Crazy. Thanks, Coach Justin. Big shout out for covering me for a few of my past episodes and for Coach Summer 2. We had some lovely life things going on. So thanks for everyone, and all of your viewership and your support. We look forward to getting today's class back together, but I just had to make sure I thank Coach Justin for covering us real quick. So, you guys, we are working on handstands and cartwheels and roundoffs because it's one of the things that I hear a lot of people want and what people are looking for. And when you're really starting to get into parkour and free running, the more free running aspect of it, where you're pushing yourself to do more flips or to start chaining your movements together, being able to tumble, feet overhead is a good skill to have. It's fun, it creates a sense of flow, and so we're going to work on it. With all of our open space here, one of the first things that we're going to do, just like every class, is go on ahead and mobilize and warm up. But I just want to make sure you guys are ready and aware. We don't have a mat under us. I don't have any cool, fun training apparatus, no weighted backpack, no books, nothing special for today's class. It's just going to be me and you and the floor. And either that's really exciting or it's really not. It's kind of daunting, but that's a matter of how much you've practiced these skills before. So, we're going to go on ahead, take a nice strong stance. My feet are slightly wide. Spine is nice and elongated. Tall spine, as best as you can imagine. We're going to take our chin over to one shoulder. It's going to roll in a half circle across our chest to the opposite shoulder. And then it's going to repeat that in the opposite direction. We're going to go back and forth. Making sure that you keep your spine tall. Not letting your body shrug or fall forward while you do your neck roll. Nice, just a few more of that neck roll. Good. And because we're going to be going upside down using our weight on our arms, inverted, we are going to take a little bit of extra time to mobilize and stretch our neck out. So I'm going to take one hand out behind my back, and then I'm going to pull my chin and ear over sideways, then slightly pull on that with my opposite hand. Breathe and relax. And we're going to release and then switch. So arm behind the back, head over, ear to shoulder, chin forward. Reach up, grab the side of the head, and breathe. And relax. A little bit of pull. Good, and a release. All right, we're going to take our shoulders now, and we're going to shrug them up. I want you guys to not just shrug your shoulder, but shrug your shoulder blade up as well. So think like you're lifting your whole back up, not just your shoulder, right? Hold that for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down for 0. Woo! All right, we are going to now go the pinch direction, so backwards behind us. Like I'm trying to make my elbows touch. I'm going to bring my shoulders back, shoulder blades to pinch towards each other. And we're going to hold that for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Good. Release. All right, we're going to keep one arm in. I'm going to isolate that by pulling it in and across my torso. And I'm going to make big overhead circles with my opposite arm. Now I want you to be mindful of your shoulder posture. I'm not like leaning over and reaching up like that. I'm trying to keep myself squared and strong here through my spine so that as I reach up, I can really shrug and bring the shoulder to brush across my ear. We're going to go one arm at a time, doing big forward shrug and circle. Make that ear touch, that shoulder touch. Good, and we're going to go the opposite direction too, backwards. Good, and that shoulder is again brushing by the side of the head. Keep that arm straight, don't let that arm bend when it's back behind you, keep it straight, full extension. And let's switch, right? Again, tight on the torso with that arm that's not doing anything really for the circles, just holding it in. Then we're going to go starting overhead. I like to start with my hand down here, and when we switch, I'll also switch from my hand at the bottom. So overhead reach and circle. Be mindful of your spinal posture. Remember, I'm not trying to like lean and try and reach up like this with my body. Instead, I'm just reaching with my arm. And my shoulder blade is there to help. And let's go the opposite direction. And I'm breathing nice and deep. Very good stuff. Alright, we're going to give ourselves a couple of hugs, alternating what arm goes over the top during the hug. So just be careful that you're not going to accidentally smack something in your space. Very good. Now, here's a really fun one that I like to do for specifically my shoulders. I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to pin it to the back side of my waist, just over here. Now, you guys can see right above my hip line. And I'm going to grab my elbow and I'm just going to pull that towards the front side of my body a little bit. Stretch out the side of my shoulder in the back. Just for a few moments and release. And I'm going to keep on that arm and I'm going to go behind the head here and then grab the elbow and increase that stretch. Now when I'm here, I can keep my stance wide and lean over even a little bit to stretch my back and the side of my rib cage as well. I'm going to do that movement 2 more times with that same arm. So I'm going back behind me, grab the elbow, pull a little, hold it for 3, 2, 1, release, overhead, grab, pull, and lean, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to go one last time, behind the back, grab the elbow, light pull, 3, 2, 1, release, overhead, almost like you're grabbing the shirt, elbow and pull and lean, and 3, 2, 1, good. Arms should be feeling nice. We're going to smooth it around a little bit, draw a little bit of extra blood flow in and through that shoulder into the arm. Alright, good. We're going to do those same movements on the opposite side. So hand to the back, grab the elbow and pull for 3, 2, 1, and we're going to go up and overhead and pull for 3, 2, 1. Don't forget that lean, right? Hand back, hand on the elbow, 3, 2, 1. Overhead, pull and lean, 3, 2, 1. And last one, elbow, pull, 3, 2, 1. Overhead, elbow, pull, 3, 2, 1. Good. And again, just like we did last time, move it around, draw some blood flow through that arm. We're going to go ahead and shake out our wrists side to side. Very good stuff. Up and down, flap them a little bit, just mobilize them. Interlock those fingers, really tightly clasp those hands together and then wrist roll a few times. I'm going to go washing machine method for these wrist rolls. So a few circles one way, then back the opposite direction. Going back and forth like that helps me to, again, keep myself entertained. Good. All right. We're going to move into our torso just a little bit more. We're going to start with our lower torso and move into our hip circles. Those lovely little side-to-side leans really do help to warm up and mobilize the spine. Even though we maybe didn't twist too much, we are going to do just a few twists after these hip circles though. And I'm sure your body as a whole is feeling nice, mobilized, the blood is starting to pump a little bit, getting ourselves going. If you want to, you can widen your stance for your hip circles too. I feel like there's a little bit of extra tension in my right hip, so when I do this with slightly wider stance, I feel like I can access a slightly better stretch for that. Really helps me out. I'm going the opposite direction as well. You can really feel that on the inside of my right hip flexor. Ooh, there's some extra tension in there. So you know what I'm going to do, knowing my body, listening to my body, I'm going to take it nice and light and easy on my right leg. And my leg on my left side is feeling pretty strong. So even though it's my non-dominant leg, I think I'll be using it for some of my starting skill practice, starting on my non-dominant side instead of my dominant side today. Trying to give my right side a little bit of a break. Kind of taking a page out of Coach Summers' book. Good. Hip circles are good. We're going to twist our torso with some momentum just a few times. Keep the feet planted and momentum twist. All right, good stuff. Now, moving into the knees, we're actually going to keep this wide stance. We're going to go into a few side-to-side lunges. They're one of my favorite ways to warm up and mobilize the knees. So we're going to squat down. And while we're in here, I take my hands, I turn them inside, not inside out, but inside down. And I extend one leg while bending the other and pushing that knee open while pushing that knee down into a slight hyperextension. And I go back and forth between those two positions. On my left side, bent, then right side, bent. Be careful, listen to your body, be mindful of your body. Like I know my right hip, I need to dip in there nice and deep to stretch that out and mobilize that right, because it felt so tight during that earlier movement. So I'm going to listen to my body, take a little extra time, stay in one side a little longer maybe. And it's important that you guys figure out yourself. All right, good. Hips are good, knees are filling in a little bit. We're going to bring our feet back together, walk them on in. Good. And we're going to squat down and do a few knee circles. I'm definitely feeling that. Bit of the mobility in my hips now. I can feel a little bit of that release from those slightly deeper stretches. Sounds like, for me, that was a good call. Stretch it a little bit more, mobilize it a little bit more, and see if I can't help to, reduce some of the tension in my body. Opposite direction. For those of you that maybe feel a little bit of tension in your body, it's wise to possibly pause the video even and do extra mobility or extra warm-up for yourself if you need that or you feel like you need that, right? Nice stuff, guys. Go ahead and shake it out, walk it out a little bit in place rather. Keeping my toe pinned down and flexing my heel up and down, alternating. Just pumping that foot through and into the floor. Very good stuff. All right, guys, we are gonna start our warm-up. What? Coach, we didn't warm up? You're right, we mobilized. But we took a bit of extra time to do that mobility because today being cartwheels and handstands, round-offs, we're going to be going onto our wrists quite a bit. We're going to be doing, I'd say what most people don't do with our class. Most people don't invert. Most people don't stand on their hands. They stand on their feet. you know, there's things that we have to take a little extra mobility or extra warm up to address, right? So we're gonna get down and do a couple of burpees with no push up. So from this upright position, I'm gonna do a little jump and I'm gonna reach up and I'm gonna drop down to my push up hold, but not do my push up, just to kind of, again, warm that blood flow up. This is a movement that incorporates almost the entire body. So it's pretty productive, very effective for us. So again, nice little straight jump, and we drop down, and we hit the push up, and then we're gonna come back up, try and go right away into that straight jump. Now you guys don't have to rush through this, take your time. And if you want to, you can get started if you already know what your burpees are. I'm gonna go nice and slow because I felt that tension in my hip. You guys, listen to your body and move at a comfortable pace for yourself. Remember, don't let the hips drop too much when you drop into that push-up. Drop in slow enough that you can stay strong. Hands up on the jump. Lots of people like to not use them. Use them. All right. Stand on back up. Cool. Just a couple of burpees. Really great way to get your blood flowing, get your heart rate up. We're going to do a few high knees. So while jogging in place, really emphasizing the lift on your knee for that high knee jog. Excuse me. Woo. All right. Light high knee jog. Few burpees, slightly extended mobility, beads of sweat. Sounds like it's time for water, everyone. So, go get a quick drink so I can drink mine. Ugh. Silent bowl. You don't need the one with the bell on it. Show this out. Yeah, yeah. Off the set, off the set, off the set. Oops. All right, guys, we're back. So, we got some water. Got to mess around with Artemis a little bit, got him out of the way off the set, and we're warmed up, we're mobilized. We're gonna get started with our first skills drill for the day. It's just a teeter-totter, you know? It's important to address what we need to do. Nice strong lunge position. Front leg is bent, back leg is straight. I like to keep the distance from front foot to back foot about the length of my leg. All right, so there we go. My arms are an extension of my spine, shooting up nice and tall. And from here, I'm going to keep my body as if it is all one solid piece from back leg to the tips of my fingers. So, in my lunge, just like that, I teeter-totter in. Ta-da! That's it. Teeter-totter. Real quick, I have to make sure we know where we're starting. Right? So anybody that's jumping in, if it's your first time watching an episode, or if you're, you know, a viewer but you haven't really practiced handstands, that's an important one. Okay, guys? Teeter-totter is your takeoff. Now, take the handstand, we get up there when we start pushing up a little bit more, where we teeter-totter into a point where we're nearly upside down, but you guys can see my legs were apart that whole time. I didn't bring them to touch. That's really one of the major differences between teeter-totter and kick to handstand. So when we're going up in a teeter-totter, then we come back down, we stay in that straddle with our legs split so that we can step out of it easily. But our kick to handstand, we should kind of assume that tightened position with our legs. So we're going to tip down and up, touch, then with intention, as best as you can, put your front foot back. Now I am kind of taking off on the same side and landing on the same side. And that's really an important thing for specifically your handstands. So I'm going to stay on my right leg in my front and kick up with my left, dip down, just like that. Oop. Wasn't enough, saved myself with my teeter-totter. Now I know next time I go in a little bit more through the front leg or through the back leg or through both. But it's always better to do it slightly less and add some more and some more and some more power until you get to a handstand. Because if you accidentally add too much, you fall over, it's very hard to learn from that mistake. Rather, it's easier to learn from the undercutting your power mistake. So take that for great consideration moving forwards. I don't need to overshoot it, I literally want to undershoot it until I get right there to that perfect balance point. Alright, boom, kick the handstand. Little adjustments here or there, but really trying to keep yourself planted and push through your fingers. We got a bunch of workouts that we're going to do at the end of skills training, so that way we can make ourselves nice and strong for our handstands and for our round-offs, which really can be challenging without a good handstand and without a good cartwheel. Now there are two types of cartwheel, right? Talked about our handstand already. We're going to move forward a little bit more into our cartwheels. We have a side-to-side cartwheel where our body stays sideways, like so. And we have a front-to-back cartwheel where I start fairly squared here, and as I finish the movement, I'll be squared still, facing the opposite direction. So I would start in a lunge, tip over and forward, come out, facing the opposite direction, being mindful not kicking any of my furniture or my plant. So, a front to back cartwheel is the one that we're going to work on today, right? That's going to help us to push to really create a stronger and better round off. So we're going to kind of step back to our handstand now that we talked about our cartwheel. So we're going to do another kick to handstand. Dominant side, non-dominant side, entirely up to you, right? But we are going to switch after toe touch. So if I go up into my kick to handstand, when I come up right now, I'm coming up off my left leg. I'm going to toe tap and come back on my right leg in my opposite. So that's what I mean when I say switch. So in full speed, here we go. So I'm kicking up. Ta-da! Switch, now I'm on my right leg. Now I kicked up to maybe about the 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock point. That means that I wasn't all the way upside down. Perfectly inverted would be like 12 o'clock, if you can imagine an analog clock. So we're going to, when we kick up, aim for that 12 o'clock position, or that perfectly inverted position. But, you know, sometimes hitting 11:30 or 11 o'clock, in your metaphor, is really, it's going to be okay for a practice, that is, okay? So, in my landed position, right, I switch, I landed on right, now I'm going to go back up, tap, and switch, come back, and now I'm on left. We're going to rinse and repeat this pattern of kick to handstand, toe tap, bless you, and switch. So, we're going to dip down, tap, and switch, dip down, tap, and switch, dip down, tap, and switch. And if you can, take your time and try and kick up to a handstand and hold it for as long as you can before you switch down, right? So if I come up, just a little bit longer, right? And the longer the better. Slower, more controlled. Until you start really figuring out your handstand and how to save yourself when you step down, right? The save yourself part, kind of important. So let's talk about it. When I do a cartwheel, specifically when I do front to back cartwheel, I enter the movement like I'm going to kick the handstand. So put myself in a nice strong lunge, put my chest and my posture above my knee, and I keep that above my foot, just like I would for a handstand. I'm going to tip down, but instead of kicking up to the balance point, I have to kick harder. I have to kick over the balance point, so I fall on the other side of my hands. So if I'm in my lunge back here, and my hands are down there, when I kick up, handstand's not enough. I have to kick past it, right? And I just saved myself stepping down out of it the way I did. My hands, I didn't turn my hands. That's the biggest issue most people have when they start stepping from handstand to cartwheel, to a front to back cartwheel very specifically. So if I'm doing my front to back cartwheel and I'm turning my hands, they're going to make this neat little upside down T in the direction of my front leg. So for me to kick to handstand, or use that power to kick to handstand, but then not do handstand with my hands instead, I'm going to turn my hands, turn them over, so both of them are going to turn, and now my torso should follow that turn on the other side. So I'm going to kick down and over, turning my hands, pushing myself out, stepping down on the other side with my opposite foot. I don't know if you guys caught that or not, but I started right leg, but now I'm finishing left leg. And that's where that switch that we were talking about, where we use, comes from. So if I go down and over, I'm on right leg again. Now I'm trying to imagine I've got a nice little straight line. I'm really trying to keep my back foot, my front foot on that line. Both my hands are going to make that little upside down T on that line. My toes are pointing towards the top or bottom of that upside down T, however you imagine that, right? So I'm here, turning the hand, and kicking over. Be careful not to turn early though. You want to go almost all the way down, then turn. That will help you to make sure your movement is nice and straight. Even if you're on your opposite side, like I'm on my non-dominant side now, I'm going to really drive myself forward and across with my hands to start, and then again turn them as my back leg is coming up, my hands are right about to make contact. So I'm in, up, and turn. Trying to come straight on that line as best as I can with my legs as straight as possible. So now we're talking front to back cartwheel, and we're doing it technically on both sides, our dominant side and our non-dominant side. Coach, what about side to side cartwheel? There's no place for that here today. Not right now. There's plenty of time to practice it, but in another episode where we talk about cartwheels and side flips, how they kind of go hand in hand, they help you, and you can start putting them together and using those as an infinite combo, but that's for a later episode. So, side to side cartwheels, put those in the back pocket. Let's focus on our front to back cartwheels for now, right? Let's demonstrate a few more of those. You yourself, use your space, and do a few more as well. Nice strong lunge. Again, distance from back foot to front foot, leg length. Distance from front foot to hands, leg length, or thereabout. And everything should mirror that on the other side. That kind of means this whole movement should be like 4 of your leg lengths. 1, 2 to hands, then from hands to foot, then from foot to foot. That's 3 and 4. So think about that. How tall are you? You're almost, well, I'd say your leg's about half your body, right? So your cartwheel should take up 2 of your body's height, just about. So when you do your lunge, you reach out, imagine, or you can even lay down and measure out. Oh, here's one of my height, and then I can lay down on the other side, and I can find out the second half of that height, right? Practicing my cartwheel, getting all of that length out, traveling the right amount of distance, right? If you accidentally put your hands off the line, your whole body might go crooked. So you guys, I have a very wide space, and I'm very, very careful not kicking onto any of the sharp corners of my wood desks or tables. So that would be a very bad time. And if you guys don't have the space to practice this at home, don't. Take your phone or your laptop and set it up on the patio outside or something if you guys have the chance to. It's important that if you don't have the space, you're smart, you make the right call, don't hurt yourself, don't damage your furniture, accidentally kick your kitty cat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's important that you guys are making wise calls for yourselves. So, on that topic, if you guys have the ability to continue with your front to back cartwheel and you're doing a good job, let's step it up and make it into a round off a little bit more. So, wise call there, right? Good. So, I'm going to step into my lunge, just like I was doing before, and now when I finish my front to back cartwheel, we're going to do what we refer to as a cartwheel step together. So I'm going to land with one foot, and then my second foot, instead of it landing back in lunge, my second foot will come learn how to land with my first foot and step. That's going to be super helpful for our round off. So our cartwheel, I go from lunge to lunge, not there anymore. We're moving a step past it. We're now going to cartwheel step together. So we go from lunge to first foot placement and second to match. Upper body stands up. I'm in this really nice, tight, straight body position. I'm going to do that again, and I can practice it on my opposite side too. And it's really important to learn. I would say it's really important to learn how to round off on both sides, especially because if you are getting to the point where you're doing twisting flips, and you may be someone like me who naturally twists left, but really more often than not round offs right. This can create some conflict for some of the movement when you start to chain them together. And learning how to round off left may be a little bit easier than learning how to twist right. So try and practice your basics on both sides no matter what for lots of reasons, but for later on, specifically with tumbling, it's very important. Right? So I'm hitting my non-dominant lunge, so that way I can do my cartwheel step together on my off side, just like I advise you guys to do as well.
Hold on, friends. You're good.
We're back. I broke the internet. Or Coach Humber broke the internet. Or YouTube broke the internet. I don't know. Internet broke. Unstable connection. Either way, we're back. And we're doing our non-dominant cartwheel step together. So, on that non-dominant side, big lunge, sit down, and step together, pull the body up. Oh my goodness. The tighter that you can combine the step together and the lift of the chest and arms, the better that this movement's going to be. And you may even feel, like you guys saw me, you may feel a little bit of extra power pulling you over and back because your body is used to stopping here. But we want to get used to going up and through it. That's the trick. So again, nice strong lunge and cartwheel step together and pull yourself up. Right? And I am really shortening my movement because I'm trying to stay in the frame for you guys, but also not kick any of my furniture. So please be mindful, this movement does still take up a long space. Your cartwheel takes up almost 2 of your body. Your cartwheel step together is like 1.5 of your body. So it is still a pretty long movement. Oh, knocked on that side. Practice both. So cartwheel step together is super duper helpful, right? Good. You guys can continue to practice that, or you can be like me and, well, it's pretty hot. I'm pretty thirsty, so we're gonna get a quick sip of water. Please stand by for our next water break. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. We got some water. By we, I mean you and I. And boy, did we need it. And by we, I mean I really needed it, because I am dripping bullets out here, guys. It's a pretty hot day. Make sure that you guys keep plenty of water close by, but don't drink too much all in one sitting. You guys can accidentally get yourself a bellyache by drinking too much water all at one go. So, sip and take it nice and slow. Keep yourself hydrated. Don't accidentally, make yourself too heavy. It's not going to be super helpful for you guys right now. Now, we are going to continue with our round-offs. Now, for us to continue with our round-offs, there's a few other things that we're going to need to talk about. We're going to need to take a step back to handstands again. So, I know we started with handstands today, and then we went to cartwheels, and then we stepped back to handstands again. And then we went into our step together, but now back to handstands. Going back and forth between the two of them really helps to, I would say, to exaggerate the benefit of having a good handstand for both of these skills, right? So a lot of the practice comes from doing stuff in and around that technique of our handstand. We're actually going to be trying to do a few handstand shrugs if we can. That's going to be one of the most helpful or otherwise most beneficial movements for us in our handstand when we're popping off of our hands. The other thing is a few forearm and wrist flicks. I don't have a big flat wall to use currently. I mean, I could probably use the glass, but I'm not gonna. Instead, I'm gonna go ahead and practice right here using the pull for my spider walk to handstand to help hold me up, or for my kick to handstand to help hold me up. So you guys can choose to go either way, depending on how advanced you are. So if you're a little bit less advanced, spider walk up. Start with your feet at the bottom of the wall. We're gonna walk our feet literally up the wall while walking our hands in so that we can get into a handstand position, using the wall to help us, trying to get our hands as close into the wall as we can, right? That's one of your options. Your other option would be if you are a little bit more advanced and you can kick into your handstand. You put your hands down and kick your feet up into that wall to help you out. But our goal would be to do just a few shoulder shrugs in our handstand. Your most advanced variation of this would be to kick into a handstand like normal, try and find your center of balance, and do a shrug or two as best as you can before you come down. So for the sake of me, I'm going to push myself to the most challenging extent that I can, kick up without a wall at all, and exaggerate my shoulder shrug to really help work myself out and make my round-offs the best they can be when I get there. So if you guys don't have your kick to handstand, or you don't have your front to back cartwheel, then we're right in the same boat currently on the same skills, sort of. We're working that kick to handstand still. We're gonna kick up, and try and get those feet all the way in. And shrug. And maybe it's only one or two. Maybe you only shrug an inch. Maybe you're already so tightly shrugged that you feel like you cannot shrug anymore. Either way, still squeeze those muscles to try and push an extra bit of shrug and lift out. I'm going to continue to go into that handstand and shrug, shrug, shrug as much as I can while balancing as best as I can. You guys keep it up. We're going to get at this for just a few more moments before we step back into those cartwheels, or round-offs rather. A little more. Let's try a few kick-ups with my non-dominant leg, right? Switch it out. Alright, trying to get the shrug in, even if I don't get all the way up. Working on it still. Okay. I'm sure if you guys are either using the wall or not using the wall, no matter what, you're feeling those shrugs. because they're very tough. Very tough. You're shrugging your entire body weight while you're inverted and trying to balance. It's a lot of effort, but we're going to ask you to put in even more effort now. So we're going to do a few wrist push-ups, right? We're going to get down nice and low, talk about what you guys can do for your wrists, because there's a little bit of floor flick that happens when we're doing a round off, where we physically jump off the floor with our hands. And the same way that when you jump, that your feet usually push through your toe, and when you're coming off the ground, your toe is fairly pointed. You should feel something similar through your hands. You should push and flick the floor away when you come off your hands. So we're going to get into, if you guys want, we're going to do a knee push-up. It's something that I do not often suggest. One of the things that I would recommend instead, if you have it, it's like a counter space where you can kind of elevate your hands. And then if you were to do a wrist push-up, maybe in an elevated space, as long as it's stable, right? I'm actually, for myself, going to grab a little pillow to rest my knees on and push the heel of my hand up off the ground. Just a few basic push-ups with our wrist. So, knees are on the pillow, nice tight body positioning. I'm just pushing my heel of my hand up off the floor, and I'm using my forearm to do so. I'm trying not to like throw my hips back or bend my arms and jump off the ground like that. I'm really kind of just leaning in there and slowly pushing through the forearm to try and lift the heel of the hand off the ground. My hips are back a little bit. I'm going to get in there as much as I feel comfortable. Right? Now, coach, those are really tough. Good. They're supposed to be. They really are. Because technically, that's not even the hardest way to do it. Right? Because when we're actually doing a round off, we're really jumping, physically flicking the floor away, actually jumping off our hands. Now, coach, that's so hard, I really can't do it though. Okay. What we can do is, again, we talked about it before, is find ourselves a nice little wall where we can lean into that wall, and then we can push ourselves away from it with a significantly easier, ability to physically push our heel of our hand up and off and to work that forearm. That down there is a little bit more advanced, right? This right here, where I'm kind of stepped away from the wall, leaning into the wall, is a little bit less advanced, right? I did suggest that you, if you have like a countertop or something, you could put your hands on the edge of your couch, put your hands there, and do your wrist push-ups. But even higher up, the higher up you go, like higher up on a wall, the easier this action is. Now I'm not really gaining any benefit from it. So it's important to kind of know where you're at, lean in, make sure that your workout is practical, right? I want to make my forearms bigger and stronger so that my round-offs will be better. If you don't push yourself into a challenging position to do those wrist push-ups, then you won't find any gains. So we're going to go on ahead and make sure that all of our whatever pillow or wall is readjusted, situated. Stay. Perfect. Fix the wall. But we're going to go into our round-offs now, a little bit more thoroughly. I have to have open space. Round-offs are slightly jumping action. And again, I'm not jumping really off my feet. Moreover, I'm jumping off my hands. So I'm going to demonstrate a round-off for you, standing round-off. Nice strong lunge. Hands are going to go down, and I'm going to pop off my hands. My body goes airborne, and there's a moment where I'm floating from my hands, and then I go to my feet. Okay? So, we're going to try just a few more of our standing round-off. Now, there's a big thing that I want you to keep in mind. The difference between our cartwheel step together and our round-off is that in our cartwheel step together, our feet come together at essentially at 6 o'clock, right? When I do my cartwheel and I step down, 1, 2, that's straight under me. that's essentially at 6 o'clock, right? Using that analog clock metaphor that we talked about. We're going to stick with that and talk about how your round off, your legs need to meet at 12 o'clock, like you're doing a handstand. So if you guys have the ability to, it's almost like doing a cartwheel into a handstand. A front to back cartwheel to handstand. Right? So the middle point of a round off is a handstand. So I'm going to try and snap my feet together at 12 o'clock, and then they're going to snap down on the other side. Don't worry, we got just the thing for the snap down when we get there in just a moment. So we're going to try a few more of our round off though. We're going to start with that nice strong lunge, dominant or non-dominant, entirely up to you. Try to get the feet together at 12 o'clock. Then back down to 6 o'clock still together. So feet should touch at 12, then drop to the floor at 6, again, together the whole time. Whew. Now, I am really shortening my round off because round offs are just like your cartwheel, front to back cartwheel, a long action. You should be traveling out at quite a distance for doing this movement. Let me demonstrate another one here for you. Oh, geez. Really trying not to throw myself up and out like I would. Really trying not to kick my ceiling fan either. Whew. Trying to again get the legs together, then feet down. Now I am landing a little crunched and a little bit tight. That's because I'm not really getting a good jump off my hands right now. When we talked about it, it's called a snap down, right? So I'm not getting a good jump off my hands, and I'm landing like this. Coach, why? Coach, why? Well, because we haven't practiced the snap down. Now, all of our other drills we've talked about and practiced how to go into a round off and how to start a round off. We've even done workouts for the inverted point of the round off. But we haven't really talked about how you should hit the floor at the end of a round off. And really, the answer is like this. We should be as tall and as hollow and as near vertical as possible, right? So, for us to practice the end of a round off, without having to really go into the round off, we're going to do it one more time. We're going to step backwards to handstand. We're going to do a kick to handstand, and for those of you that were struggling with your kick to handstand, if you don't have your kick to handstand, you don't have your balance at 12 o'clock, it's alright. Getting to 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock is going to be acceptable. It will help you, okay? So we're going to kick up to 10, 11, or 12, and when we're coming back down, we're going to really squeeze through the body. We're going to shrug, we're going to flick through the fingers. We're almost going to pike a little bit and scoop our toes into a slightly hollowed position. So we're sort of round like this. So we go from extended to shrugging and round so that we can pop off of our hands and land on our feet in this position. So a snap down. Without murdering one of my cats on accident, making sure to check my space because I'm smart and considerate of my environment. I'm going to kick down into my handstand. Try and get, again, 10, 11, or 12. Then shrug and scoop to hollow. That's pretty much it. So there's our snap down. I'm going to do a few more of them. And I really do stress alternate. Practice both sides for these. Right? The more that you can practice making your left side better, the better your right side will be. Or vice versa if your right side or left side dominant. Right? It always will benefit you to practice both sides. So I did right for my snap down and now for my left snap down. Nice. Sometimes you'll surprise yourself if you practice enough. Alright, back in, alternating those sides. And you guys maybe see that there's a little bit of pivot in my hands that turn my fingers towards each other and flick. That's helpful for me because when I do that, my elbows are gonna bend a little bit, but then I can lock them back out. And so I get just this little extra bit of bend a little extra bit of throw from having my hands make almost a diamond, right? And when we start doing powerful, like power tumbling, like tumble track tumbling, that sort of stuff, they really do turn their hands a lot. They even turn their body entirely in the air before they put their hands down a lot of the time too for round-offs. So there's a lot of really crazy ways to do these sort of movements. But no matter how crazy your movement's going to be, your snap down is going to be an important part of it, no matter what. So, a few more. Not quite. All right. Whew. So that flick and throw on the floor, scoop and land nearly hollow, maybe a little squatted still, but we're still trying to land hollow. That's how you end the round off. So if I was to go, if I was to do a full send and do my round off in the living room, not kick my ceiling fan, and my cat, my entertainment system, any of that, I get a good pop off of my hands and a good throw, and land nice and planted, tall. Firestorm, baby. No, alright. So guys, we practice on our round offs, practice on our kick to handstand, our snap downs, our kick to handstand and switch with our legs. There's all sorts of stuff that we gotta practice. One of the other things that we really gotta practice though is, well, good hydration. So, after all of that cool stuff, we are gonna get ready for our cool down stretches, wind class down to the end, get some water. So you guys, how many of mine do you go get yours? Any questions? Welcome back! For like the third or fourth time. Alright, we're actually going to, like I said, wind on down and do our stretches. So we're going to take a seat here. Nice. Woo! And now, having done a bunch of round off, or the kick to handstand, like I said, I know you're going to feel a little bit of tension in your shoulders, you might feel a little bit of tension in your back. I feel some definitely in my lower back and in my glutes actually. Can you guess why? It's because that really forward lean that you have to put on that bent leg. When you lean in over that front leg for your round off or for your lunge, you are putting a lot of stress in on that single leg, and it has to do essentially a one-legged jump. And so I know I'm feeling that all through here. So we're going to take our time to stretch out those bits and bobs of our bodily stuff. So in the meantime, if you guys are curious, you have questions about, well, some of the stuff that we've done today or previous classes, you guys are always more than welcome to ask me anything appropriate. And if you guys are, ever so kind and chose to leave a comment, please do make sure that it is family appropriate as well. We've had some otherwise distasteful comments on our stuff, and we just want to keep this a good community family space. So please just be mindful of that and keep everything appropriate and PG. Thanks everyone. We're going to start our stretches now. We're going to start with our favorite, or my favorite rather, a pike stretch. So just go ahead and kick the legs out. We're going to do it with flexed feet first. Keep your chest and your chin up nice and tall, nice and straight spine. Reach up with your arms. We're going to fold at the hip, right? So I'm folding down through the waist. Keeping my body up to reach and getting down there. Now from that flexed foot position, with my hands on my toe, I can point my toe to push myself further. Oh, that's always so good. I love this one. For those of you that are still working on it, you're like, Coach, I'm not that flexible. It's okay. I like to physically bend my legs a little and then put my fingers under the big ball part of my calf so that when I squeeze my quad and I lock my leg down, my hands are essentially stuck in place. Right? I just go on ahead and grab the calf then, bend my elbow to the floor and pull my spine into a fold. So for those of you that can't reach your toes, you can definitely reach your knees. You can definitely reach the back of your calf, I'm almost sure. So we can pull ourselves down and increase our stretch. Keeping the flex on the feet, keeping the toes pointed, either way, you just really want to lock those knees down. Good, come on up and out of that. Feeling right, nice. We're going to cross one leg over, and we're going to do a pike while our leg is crossed, just like this. So I'm going to reach back down. And you should feel a slight increase in the stretch in both legs in a very interesting way. Don't worry, we are going to cross to our opposite side and stretch that one as well. So crisscross with a pike. There's many people that even will crisscross their hands to match. And we're going to release and switch and grab for this crisscross pike. And release. Woo. Shake the knees out just a little bit. We're going to pull one leg into a figure four, up and over the other. We're going to ankle roll a little bit while we're here. Just going to stretch out the knee. Just a little bit by pushing down on the knee, stretching out the hip, and rolling the ankle. Ooh. Hope everyone's okay. Make sure that you guys roll your ankle in both directions as well. Very good stuff. And we're going to actually underhook the leg, pulling that shin into our chest. So both hands are going to go through that little figure four hole here. And then underhook the leg and pull that shin to the chest. Good stuff. Go ahead and set that back down. And we're going to cross to the opposite side now. So again, leg is out nice and straight, figure four over top, and we can stretch out the hip and knee a little bit by pushing on that knee and rolling out that ankle. I physically like to push on the knee with my forearm while pulling up on my shin with my hand. So I'm pushing and pulling at the same time while I roll my ankle. Trying to maximize my time here spent stretching. Speaking of trying to maximize my time, if you guys do have questions, now's a great chance. But if you guys don't get a chance to ask that question now during the live air, we can always take your comments, take your questions, and answer them in a following video. So for those of you that, have something, and I just forgot it, but it'll come back to me at like 2 in the morning in the middle of the night. Then you're going to comment at 2 a.m. and we're going to get to it on the following day's lesson. So you guys just make sure that you are communicative with us, and we will be informative with you. Next, so, just roll the ankle out. Now we're going to underhook the shin. So again, both hands are going to come through here and pull up the shin to the chest. Very good stuff. Go ahead and set that back down. Uncross the legs. Woo! And shake those knees out one last little bit. Very good stuff. That's super helpful for my legs. We're going to continue by stretching our back and our torso and our shoulders just a little bit more. So I'm going to swing my feet around to the opposite side of me. Put my hands in front. Like we're doing our seal stretch, our sea lion stretch. So hips are going to be down, or as close to as down as possible. And we're going to keep our chin and chest up, just like so. Keep breathing. I like to kind of wobble left and right. I guess waddle works too. Just kind of shrugging, shoulder in front, shoulder behind, just to push my body through a little bit of twist, a little bit of this fun movement that otherwise I couldn't get a stretch in. And we're going to push ourselves back up. Then put our hips over our knees, and we're going to do our cat stretch. So again, hips over our knees, and then arms go out, and chest goes down. Very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. We're going to come on up into a table position. And we're just going to kind of shake side to side. I like to imagine that I'm really opening my rib cage. So I push my shoulder up and over my head almost, and my hip down and around like that. Like that. Like I'm making these big arches or curves with my spine. Nice, that helps me to stretch out my ribs and my back just a little bit more. Woo. Sitting down on our heels, kind of chilling out for a moment. We're just going to catch our breath and do a few neck rolls. Very good stuff. Alright, my dudes, my dudettes, my like everything else, my attack helicopters, however you classify. Guys, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate your viewership. Love and respect in all directions, and we look forward to seeing you for our next episode. Thanks, guys.